Hello, welcome to round number 4 of the Anti-Stall Racing IMSA series here at Fuji for the 4th time this season. Out of the 10, we've got still 6 more to go. Nearly at the halfway point, not quite yet, but so far we've had some great racing at tracks like Indianapolis. Oh, where were we even last week? Oh, I can't even remember where we were last week. Oh no.
We did Watkins was round 2.
Watkins and Daytona. Yeah, we're out of America. How about that? We've gone to Japan. We've finally gone out of the States. I'm sure we'll be back there at some point. I think so. I think we might. No, maybe not. There's not many other American circuits on the calendar, I don't think. Well, it's time for Japan, which is a fabulous circuit. Long straight with a few corners. More than 13, but corner number 13 is called the 13th corner because they clearly ran out of ideas. Turn 3, though. Coca-Cola corner. So, you know. Don't know why, but I assume there's a big sponsor on the side of it. I don't know if there is. I hope there is, because otherwise it's just a really random name for a corner. And I don't see one, so...
we just saw one. We just saw one. Yeah. In the background on turning. We'll see it again, I'm sure.
Well then. Yeah, hello and welcome to round number 4. So I'm here, and George is also here. Gerard's in the box with the cameras, telling us and shouting in our ears and pointing in different directions, but he's currently thinking about flappy paddles. And yeah, so round number 4, it's been good so far. It's been a lot of racing. It's time for the, qualifying for GT3s to get underway. They got it's 14 minutes, isn't it? For
14 minutes now, yeah. Adjusted after the first round, so 14 minutes GT3, 2-minute break, then 14 minutes for the LMP2s afterwards.
Yeah, the GT3 battle is raging on this season. Lots of Porsches and quite a few Mercs as well. But the other cars are slowly being overtaken. You know, not that beam. There's only like one Lamborghini, I think. Still no McLarens, no more Fords, sadly. But yeah, lots of Porsches and Mercedes, and in that camera shot alone there, you can just see one BMW and Mercs and Porsches everywhere. But it's mostly dominated by the Leo Racing team in the GT3s. The race control, of course, is Andy and Paulo and Kevin for today. See how busy they end up being after this hour's worth of racing.
Yeah, I think there might be a few incidents to watch out for. Heavy braking zone into turn 1 with what I'm going to be bold and say is one of the longest straights on the calendar. I know we have Daytona, but it's not really a straight, is it?
On the banking?
On the banking, yeah. We'll discount it just so we can say this is one of the longest straights on the calendar. Mulsanne Straight at Le Mans will probably challenge that, but I think the chicanes probably make each a little bit shorter. So there's going to be great chances of these guys going into turn 1. Especially, I think we'll probably have a few drivers running quite a lot of downforce. Last sector in particular is very, very tight and twisty. You can see a couple of cars coming through the final corners now. This is an area where you really need that downforce because it's high speed and needs to get turned in nicely for the straight. We can see Adam here lining up the exit following the Lamborghini, but getting a very nice slipstream here. But as I was saying, that high downforce will mean the slipstream is quite powerful. And you can see we're not even halfway down this straight now, so you can absolutely send it into turn 1 if you get a good run. You can see the closing speed here just in a qualifying run. So that lap only put Adam P2 and he's quickly knocked down to P3. So the Porsche's performing well at the moment, it seems like.
Yeah, Porsches already. There's another one at the top now. They're making their way to the top of the table. Loads and loads of Mercs. I think the Mercs this week might just outnumber the Porsches. There's a few crumbs across the line. The apparently yellow card just there crossing the line of Richard. Kind of looked like the colour of the grass, which is green, but we'll gloss over that fact. for another time as Thomas will cross the line, see where he goes. There's already been an incident between car 73 and 36 somewhere out there. So the broadcaster stuff is reading as I talk. The race control already busy, and they're not even 5 minutes into qualifying.
Try and see if I can find out for you what happened there, and then we can get it put onto the stream. But I'm sure the race control. Oh, there we go. What's happened here? Just a bit of a misunderstanding. Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah,
I guess what race control we'll be looking at is if they were both on a hot lap or not.
If they were, any actual penalty for that, or just that's how it goes?
If they were both on a hot lap, then they'll take an assessment of whether someone intentionally caused it, but it's very unlikely that someone would do that in qualifying, so it's probably just going to be written down to a racing incident. Whereas if, I can't remember who was in front now, but if the car ahead...
Martin.
Yeah, if Martin was on a slow lap, which it looks like he might have been, because he was a bit away from the apex, really.
Isn't it? 36 and 9, so 36 into another incident already. That's 2 for them in the face space of... I guess that might be just after. Look at that amount of cars just jumping out the pit lane here. We're having to get all queued up as they come out.
So, I'm trying to find out now. It looks like Martin, wasn't it? Martin was also on a hot lap.
Oh, okay.
So maybe just struggling a little bit in that last sector, but there was no reason that he had to get out of the way. So I would assume race control. It looks like he honestly just had quite a poor entry and then got a bit of oversteer, and it was kind of just 2 into 1 doesn't go on the exit of the corner. So I think there'll be no penalty for that. Obviously, not in race control today. I'm with you guys. I would assume it will be no penalty, and if it is, it would be a warning more than anything.
Just seen that big Coke sponsorship. Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah, they are really showing that off. I wonder how much money food you got for that one. What does the track map look like then? I always find that fun. We always play a fun game. What the track map looks like. What do we think today then? What was it? Spain or Catalonia is a steering wheel with a bit of a broken side. There was one for like Road America, if I'm not wrong. They all look like something somewhere, but this one is not sure what that looks like. Oh yeah, that's it. Hungary looks like a fish, doesn't it?
You say so?
do you not think Hungary, the F1 circle, looks like a fish?
I'm trying to think. I can see maybe.
Yeah, it's a fish with its mouth open or something like that. So I'm not sure about this one though. It's maybe you're really gonna have to look at that to try and find something in the track map. But this straight is huge.
It is. You can see on the track map actually. It's the longest. It's actually the 2 extreme points of the circuit.
Yeah.
There's nothing that goes either way.
Either side of it. Yeah. That's
It's going to be a great opportunity, but I think it's also going to be great for the multi-class racing because it means that the LMP2 should be able to clear the GT3s in most instances with ease when they get to there.
Just be patient and wait for the straight.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look from, I think it's turn 6, which is sort of a tight hairpin after turns 4 and 5, there's a great opportunity all the way down from there towards the chicane of turn 10, turn 11. So there's great opportunities for passing and also for obviously the multi-class racing as well. So I think people should be able to get through nice and easily, but it also means we should get some great racing as Richard goes straight on. He just set a lap that put him P8 from the looks of it.
Adam on a quick lap here. Quick lap for a Ferrari. His teammate's not here today. Ryan not able to make it, sadly for him. So Adam did beat him last year in the Cheltenham line. No. Oh, no, he didn't beat him in the championship in the end, did he?
I think it was very close.
I think he actually beat him. Ryan came back to do the last round, which we didn't think he would. But then he actually ended up crashing. So I think, if I'm not wrong, Adam beat him by a point. So we'll see if he can do that again this season. He's now lost the purple sector, so someone out there is flying. It could be Victor in P2. Where does Adam put himself, though? P5 at the moment. Can he interrupt the Porsche dominance at the moment?
Looks like Adam maybe had a slightly compromised last sector as we see it went yellow. I believe he was behind that Lamborghini at one point, and he's now ahead of it. So looks like he might have had to manage his way past, which in that final sector isn't great. I know from the race director's notes that there was quite a clear point made to drivers about driving slowly in that last sector and that you needed to be really careful. But as we so often see, it's not actually always possible to get out of the way, and you can try your best, but you're always going to impede someone in some way. Not even necessarily the driver's fault, but your tyres just aren't up to temperature by the time you get to here sometimes. See Alessio coming through the final corner. Purple in the first sector, green in the middle sector. Such a tricky corner. You want to pick up as quickly as possible. You don't want to be too much on those sausage curbs. He rides them nicely, but much further out, and it would have been an issue. And you also get an off track, I believe. You can see him climbing up the gears, 5th gear now. How long is this straight? He's probably even going to get 6th in the Porsche, and he's across the line. Green in the last sector, and that did put him... I'm not sure.
Nowhere.
So he must have had the off track, yeah. Do we think it was roughly in the final corner? I think it probably was, because he hadn't abandoned the lap before that. So it looks like he's going straight for another push lap, though. Just confirmation from the stewarding team as well that both incidents that were under investigation have been deemed no further action. So most likely, not quite sure what the other incident was. It was with the 36 and 9, actually. So it was probably due to something that happened in that first incident. Victor goes P2 by just under 300ths of a second. Can see Adam trying to tow his rival too much there to the line. P5 for Adam, P6 for Simone.
Yeah, it's close to the top, isn't it? 300ths of a second, basically, the gap between the top two. And then Luigi's only realistically a 10th back from, or dead on a 10th back, really, from second. So it's close at the top. Once again, just like in Daytona. I think Fabio's on another lap, so he could be improving here. 2 personal bests. He gets a good last sector, which is a tricky one here. He might be able to improve a bit more. Now, Alisso coming to the line. He's going in the pits.
He's yellow, so possibly a mistake there. Maybe just wants to test out the pit lane.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a thing you don't see too often, but yeah, he's definitely tested that out. It's probably a smart thing to do.
Very, very easy to get a unsafe pit entry here. Not just on speeding, but on, you have to know exactly which lines you can cut. Being one of the newer tracks on iRacing, it is a bit more closely monitored. I think you can go on the red, but by the time you get sort of to the left-hand turn, actually into the pit lane entry, you won't get away with cutting across any of the lines. Point to be made as well, this track is fairly new to iRacing, and therefore fairly new to most of these drivers. Not really anywhere else where they would have been racing it that I can think of off the top of my head. So that's potentially why we have maybe a slightly smaller GT3 field than usual. People thinking that they wanted a break and maybe didn't want to put in a lot of hours of practice. We think we had a similar situation in the first round of the season at Indianapolis. So we might be one of those races where we see a bit more field spread, particularly from the GT3s, if people just don't have the experience with it. When we know places like Daytona and Watkins Glen, where the last 2 rounds have been, that drivers have driven. You can probably drive there in their sleep, if we're honest. I think we can all say we could drive around Daytona without even having to think about it in pretty much any car. So when they get to those tracks, it's just about brushing up on certain skills. Whereas here, it's about learning a whole new layout for some of these drivers. Not been many official rounds here yet, so that could be why we're seeing a bit more of the spread, with people have put in extra practice and some people aren't.
As Bellino goes on pole for now, 10th up on the rest of the field. Still pretty close at the top though. There was a nice pink Mercedes in the pit lane. I'm not sure whose car it is. I noticed in the pit lane there's a nice pink one. I'm just having a look at Christian. Is he going any quicker, or is he at the moment P7 on a out lap? Him in the Cribs Racing team with, I think it's, who else is in the Cribs Racing team? Is it Lewis? I think it's Lewis, if I'm not wrong, in the other one of those cars. Kind of a bit deep there in the hairpin. Hairpin, that is actually a chicane as well, so corners come at you thick and fast, and this sector is very difficult with the fact that it's very late apexes corners, which I just get frustrated with very quickly. I can't actually. I don't know. I can't do them very well. I like some tracks that have a few of these corners where it's very late apex, but if you can't see the apex, it's such a patient game. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Visibility in the final sector is definitely going to be an issue. I can imagine, particularly for the LMP2s, if they're stuck behind some of these GT3s, you will not be able to see the sausage curves on the exit. And I'm sure, with the amount of practice these guys have put in, they will know where they are by now. But sometimes you just get a bit more understeer when you're behind another car. And if you can't see where you're going, it gets a lot more difficult. Following David here, coming through turn 14 into 15 now.
Oh, his apex is somewhere to the left.
Yeah, he missed that a little bit, didn't he? Maybe it's a prep lap, not quite sure. We'll see when he comes across the line. It says he's on an out lap,
isn't it?
So it says out lap, but the end of qualifying's finished, so the checkered flag has fallen, so he will have to box. So Luigi takes
timing.
He must have mistimed his out lap, or forgotten that he didn't have the entire session just for himself. Luigi Nespolini takes pole then in IMSA in GTD, so that is going to be pole with a 37.4, closely followed with a 37.5 for P2. So battle up front looks like it's going to be really competitive, especially the top four, possibly a little bit of a gap back from that, but I think we saw quite obviously in that session there was a little bit of difficulty for several cars. Should be getting the green light for LMP2 in about 10 seconds time.
Oh, they're all at the exit of the pit lane, I think, looking at the fact
let's see if we can get a look at that. I think they will all be at pit exit. We can see everybody with the little green pit exit sign.
Pit lane 1, we should see a row of cars, surely, sitting at the front. Well, they're all going out laps now, so they're all leaving the pits.
They're all leaving the pit lane now, yeah.
Oh, there they are.
Always confuses me a little bit, because it's not great for your tyre temperatures when you're doing that.
There was one sitting there, I think, with a minute to go left in the GT3 practice qualifying, so I'm pretty certain there has been an LMP2 sitting at the end of the pit lane waiting.
Seen somebody stop already because they had an unsafe pit exit, so they've got to return to the pit lane. A bit of fighting for track position, it even looks like now, but different people will have different warm-up strategies. This is Miguel we're watching, seems to be quite happy to drop towards the back of the train. It gives you more time to prep on your outlap as well, build up a bit more tyre temperature in the way you want to and manage the gap to the drivers ahead. But what's not going to be good for him is if we get to the end of this lap and they're all queuing up in the final few corners for their first run at it.
There's a lot of them out there, isn't there? Yeah, slipstream is massive, I guess, through the down the straight, but I think for the rest of the lap, you won't want anyone in front of you, will you? Through the twisted
especially
part?
When we're looking at turn 3, 4, 5, that's going to be really difficult to follow anybody. Having done I did a couple of GTE races here when the track first came out, and it was horrible to follow through that section. A couple of different lines you can take in the race, which is fine in the race, but in qualifying you really can't afford to lose that time. Right, let's stay with Carlo for this lap. He's going to get a massive tow, 2 cars in front of him punching a hole in the air. Could work really well for him, unless they're a bit slower than him and he catches them in the twisty bits. Running down the straight now all the way to turn 1. Like we said, it's a very long straight, very high speed, so difficult braking zone. You've got to slam on your brakes just at the right time. You can see him closing into the cars ahead already. Would expect that under braking a little bit, but doesn't want to get too close. One of the several Leo Racing Team cars. One of his teammates, I believe, Lorenzo's just gone purple in the first sector. On board, cut a lot of the inside there. You can get away with pretty much anything. I know that was an issue of contention when the track was first released. It's been dealt with now, but you can still get away with a lot. Difficult braking zone here into turn 6. Really tight apex, probably all the way down to first gear. Yeah, it is. And then traction nicely on the exit, using the exit curb, not as much as the car in front. Now the run down, this is another great overtaking opportunity into the hairpin, which then very quickly becomes a chicane, as Wes pointed out in the GT3 session. Hook up the apex nicely. His teammate Lorenzo now gone purple in the second sector, but we don't know because someone's taken the first sector. Could it be Carlo? We'll see when he gets to the line. This is one of the difficult corners here because you always have to be thinking about the corner ahead. He's going for a slightly tighter apex, and the car in front may be looking for a little bit of clean air. Coming up to the final corner now, really difficult braking zone. You want to absolutely maximize your traction on the exit because you have such a long straight. He's laid down the power nicely. Looks like he's lost a bit of gap to, I believe, Aiden in front. He's going to absolutely plant the power now. He goes... We're about to see him cross the line. Not yet, not yet. Now we see him P2 just behind... I'm not sure who that is in P1, if I'm totally honest.
I think it's Lorenzo.
There we go. Half a second, though, nearly. 0.4 of a second off Lorenzo's time. So Lorenzo with an absolutely great lap. Izzo P2. So those guys absolutely dominating right now in LMP2. Watching Wessel come to the line here. Well, I say come to the line, you expect it out of the final corner, but it's such a long run down to the line. So unlike a lot of racetracks, the start-finish line is pretty much in the middle of the straight. So you have to focus on your exit on every lap, and both for the on the out lap as well, to make sure that you maximize that speed down the straight. But you also have to make sure that you absolutely nail it on the final corner on your hot lap, because you've got such a long run to the line. A couple of these guys looking like they're running consecutive laps, although I'm seeing a couple of yellow sectors come up. You are going to really use the tyres in the sweeping corners here, by the way, so they might want a cool-down lap before you get another go at it.
Could the yellows be for traffic? People just getting a bit in each other's way now?
Potentially, yeah. We'll see, I guess, sort of how big the delta is, but it looks like Alessandro is still on a bit of a push lap-ish.
Well, Lorenzo's just gone even quicker on this lap, so he's gone flying.
He's found some speed somewhere.
He's
a couple of these other guys were a little bit off, so I don't know, maybe it was sort of not a full push lap the whole way. Dylan not got a lap yet. What's he going to be able to do? 1:28.5 from the looks of it. That pops him into P2, so great effort from him at No Limits Sim Racing. I think some of these guys must be taking a little bit of a cool down or a slightly slower lap to then manage the tyre temperatures before they have another push. Surprise. I mean, I don't know, guys. What have we been seeing so far this season? Have we had multiple push laps, or have we had people coming into the pit lane for new tyres?
I think multiple laps, if I'm not wrong, from the MP2s. GT3s, I see a lot more, do a lap, come in, do a lap, come in. I think MP2 I've seen a little bit longer runs. I think they're really about the fuel. I think they fill up for about 2 runs. They do the 2 runs and then they go again. They might even fill up for 3, but they really do push the limit, I think, of, trying to get the car to the least weight possible. They got, 14 minutes. They try and get as many runs as they can in, and big slide. It's a lot of time for Izzo lost there. Lorenzo's going to
Lorenzo about to cross the line and go purple again. It looks like no. Yes, there we go. Wow, big gap at the front now. Then 0.5 of a second.
So Izzo's made a mistake and he's pitted. Then so he's made a mistake. So this is maybe what you said about. He's gone straight to the pit lane, probably change the tyres and go again. He's clearly now not on the same strategy as his teammate, which is doing run after run after run after run. He's now pitted as well, Lorenzo. So yeah, he's done 3 laps and pitted.
Well, we are about halfway through the session, so maybe that's through the LMP2 session. So maybe that's a way to go then. A couple of 2 different runs, a couple of laps on each. Sometimes you just want to feel for the track as well. They've had GT3 qualifying since these guys were last out, so track conditions will have improved quite a bit. The grip might be in different places as well, because GT3s do have slightly different lines, especially in these sort of late apex corners.
Do you think that if I was there, I always do it in qualifying. If I ever do qualifying, I'd like to do multiple runs rather than just 1 lap go. I'd like a good 2-3 laps just to, you can do a lap and then be like, I could improve there and then I could improve there. Yeah. Like, you got to try and find how you're feeling, how the car feels in that exact moment rather than 1 run go. Because you can always be like, do a run and be like, I could have improved here, and here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the LMP2 and GT3 tyres as well are really made for multiple runs. They're like an endurance tyre. They're designed to run for an hour, really, in a race, so they can at least do a couple of laps in qualifying. And it's the same thing again, as you want to fuel for a few runs, because in sim racing, a full another out lap to be able to go again. And it does take time, you've got to get back in the pits, reload the setup so it's got the right fuel in, and you've got fresh tyres on, and then go back out. So it's just a confidence building thing as well over those few laps. Maybe just take the first few a little bit slower so you can get banker laps in. I know we've seen a couple of guys this season actually just get really unlucky on some laps with traffic, make mistakes on their other laps, and then they actually don't get a competitive lap time in. I know that because in race control we have to go back to their practice laps sometimes even to put them within the 107% qualifying rule. So they definitely can do the lap time sometimes with the circumstances. Nice little overtake there, but I think that will probably need to be looked at by race control as to why he actually had to overtake on a flying lap.
He's locked up as well.
He's gone deep, so we're just going to have a nice little battle for us to watch now. Miguel trying to go around the outside, and then we get a spin.
Well, nothing.
It will now definitely be looked at by race control.
Yeah, it will be looked at, and that's P2 technically crashing into P11, but they're both maybe on laps, possibly.
I think if they were both on laps, then there will be no penalty.
Well, that's what you were saying about the drivers getting unfortunate with.
It's all about managing your gap. That's what I've always said to drivers in race control when I've been doing stewarding or drivers briefings. Is, you know, if a car in front of you is slower than you in qualifying, they do not have to get out of the way. You should have built a bigger gap. Just
you can tell as well. You can tell how slow the car in front is. You know what I mean? You can see their lap time. You can work out how slow they are.
Exactly. You can look from practice. You've been racing with these guys for quite a while now. It's like if we looked at Formula One, you wouldn't expect Ferrari or Red Bull to put their car out a second behind a Williams because they know they'll make up that second during the lap.
And if they are, they want them to pass them before the lap starts.
Exactly. The other way round, it's not an issue because the slower car will lose time to the quicker car and will probably even advantage from being behind them because they'll get a tow, which will help them make up their time. So no further action on that incident then, suggesting that they were either both on hot laps or both on slow laps.
Frank did not want to give James any more slipstream than he needed there. As soon as he pulled out, he's like, oh, no, you're not having that. James was very scurrily out of the last corner and doesn't improve on his time. Lorenzo is loving this circuit and he's just done another purple middle. He's got a yellow first, but a purple middle might bring that back into contention for another pole lap here.
Like Miguel might be once again ahead of a Leo Racing team car, which is on a hot lap. It's just a little bit.
No, that's Carlo again. He's ahead of Carlo just like he was a second ago.
I think these are both out laps then.
Yes, they are, which they're both about to start a lap though in about
Lorenzo is about to come to the line though, and Lorenzo hasn't improved because he's gone yellow in the first and final sector, but purple in the middle, so clearly some time to be found on his lap time there, unless he's just...
Oh, look at that. Max has gone equal to what Carlo's done, and Carlo's just got slipstream from Miguel and going to take him turn one.
Doesn't mean he's going to have to make the pass on turn one, so he's going to squeeze him as much to the outside as he can so that he gets it. But he misses the apex, so that time he's made up there, he's just lost again.
Oh, Lorenzo's purple middle first. He's going again. Well, he's got absolutely zero traffic, I think, Lorenzo. Yeah, he's got absolutely none, so he is fine there. He's playing his cards right in qualifying, unlike his teammate, which has got probably more traffic up ahead of him, which is fast traffic, but traffic nonetheless. So that's not going to help him at all. A few cars in the pits, not too many, not too long. Quite a long. I was going to say quite a long lap here, but a minute and a half. It's like it is a long lap, but not exactly for these cars. They're not a GT3. You look at it thinking, yeah, nearly in the 140, so kind of a long lap. But with these being in the 128s, it's look at that! Wow, into the. I wonder if he hit that pole or not there.
There is a lot of time spent on the start-finish straight as well, so all of the corners are quite bunched together. Lorenzo coming to the line and now nice exit there. He's lost that purple sector 1 to another driver somewhere. Is he going to improve? Looking at that timer, I don't think he is. No, he's not going to get to start finish. No, he does. Sorry, timer just not updating.
I think that might be James that's stolen that fastest first sector. I wonder. We're not going to see it, but he's definitely out there on laps. We can't see him in the bottom yet. I'm just intrigued when his name pops up across if he's going to get a purple.
Took a lot of curb in the chicane then.
He's gone.
Yellow in the middle sector because he's just lost so much time there. Let's go on board, see what he can do in the last couple of corners. A lot of time to be gained and lost here. Hook it up nicely. Don't get to the pole like we saw.
Nice.
Oversteer. Big correction had to be made there to stop the slide, as it often is in the LMP2. And then a bit of a missed apex again. So maybe these guys running a bit more trimmed out for the race
Well, that's his quality over then.
And he's
going
boxing because there's a minute left. He's not going to get out again. Leon on a lap, 2 yellows, unfortunately, so possibly not an improvement from him, and it's not going to be, but he's going to get to start a flyer. So maybe that was the gain from most of these guys. Frank also
this is extremely close.
Potentially about to start a flyer.
P2 to P7 is 2 attempts. Not even a full 2 attempts either. That's
pretty impressive. Bodes well for the leader as well, if those guys are going to be fighting like that for the whole race. Great entertainment for us. Dylan, green first sector. We saw him go second early on in the session, not been able to improve significantly since then. Coming through the sweeping right-hander before braking for the hairpin chicane. Is he going to get it hooked up nicely? A little bit away from the apex and a little bit deep, but can he gather it on the exit? Cut across the curb nicely there. Could have done a bit more curb on the exit where you can really get away with it. Sweeping through here, don't go to the sausages but go up to them. Like Wes was saying earlier on, late apex into this corner, it's so awkward and kind of off camber on the exit. There really is a perfect line through there. Coming into the final corner, brake as late as possible and hook it up nicely. Maximise the exit, don't touch the sausages in an LMP2 and then run to the line now. He's just got to hope he'll see that time either going up or going down in his dash. Is he coming in? He's coming in. So that mistake in the chicane must have cost him the lap time. He has aborted it. Aiden looks like he was very wide from the apex there. Came to it late though. So
I think Izzo might be the only one improving. P5 at the moment.
Leon's just done a lap, but I can't quite tell if he's improved or not because my internet's decided that I don't get to see the lap times anymore.
I don't think he has. No, I don't think he has. He stayed P12, Leon. Aiden Young stays P9. It's all down to Izzo.
What's he going to do? Probably not much because he's yellow, and
he's in the pit lane.
There we go. That's it for qualifying then. Great performance from Leo Racing as usual. And I'm going to leave you with Wes for just 2 minutes while I run and get a drink.
Just seen a picture of a LMP2 and a Porsche sharing a pit lane together, having a nice time. A little bit of a warm-up will be in a second for these cars and drivers, especially for the GT3s after they've just had to sit there for 14 minutes and watch the LMP2 drive round. They're going to want to probably get a couple bit more laps in. Just get, probably go out there, do an out lap, maybe warm-up's probably the best time to, go to the pit as well. Give a good test. No one ever really practices the pit entry, but it's definitely something you should. So warm-up's always good to use that for. If you drivers look at that, all the GT3s to your left just streaming out the pit lane, knowing that it's probably a wise decision to go get a little bit more seat time.
I'm back, and I would say just on that point, the GT3s will want to know what the track's like after LMP2 qualifying.
Yeah, the grips definitely. Well, we saw at the end there that you would think the track's ramped up, but no one was improving, were they? So I'm not sure if it's hit sort of a peak of performance already. I'd be surprised if so. It's not like they're going to leave any rubber behind yet. A lovely, lovely view. There was clouds all the way over here earlier. They've now disappeared over to the right thanks to the wind on the circuit, which is fabulous. Packed grandstands to the left. Ah, the qualifying results. Haha, funny. Not on my screen. Awkward for me.
I'll walk you through them quickly. I managed to load them up. So Luigi Nespolini took pole in GT3 class, followed closely by Ponta, then Roman in P3, Suarez P4, Adam Hedgecock, consistent as usual, coming up in P5, Simon Garreau P6, Christian, I'm not going to pretend that I know how to say that, but Glamister P7, David Contos P8, Richard P9, and Goats P10. Then the last 6, I believe, to qualify were Lars Vinrin, Yao Diaz, Louis Grigg, Thomas Amos, Martin Brandon, and Thomas Notto. Thomas Notto a bit off the time. I believe he still should be within the 108% on that one. And then we had 2 no qualifiers, so I don't believe those cars will be starting the race. All right, LMP2. Is that an identical lap time for P2?
It is. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow, very impressive. Carlo will be glad he got that lap in first, I guess. So Lorenzo Castellani took pole with a 1:28.278. Impressive lap from him, half a second clear of both P2 and P3. Carlo and Max did exactly the same lap time. Carlo gets to start P2 on the merit that he did the lap time earlier on, when in theory the track grip will not be as good. James Ibram went P4, just a couple of hundredths off the back of P2 and P3. Then Alessandro Izzo P5, Frank Smits P6, and my quality has dropped again, so I can't read the names. Dylan Van Lans was P7, then Wessel P8, Aidan Young P9, Charles Henriksen P10, Miguel Alfaleo, I believe P11, Leon Elowat took P12, and then Benjamin Size P13 with no lap time, so he also may not be starting the race.
Oh no, where's Benjamin gone then? That's interesting. That was a big name not to have done a time. Did he do a time in qualifying, or is he... No, sorry, not qualifying, practice. What's happened there? Interesting. One of the...
Must have either been struggling or decided
names
to race for some reason.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for him to miss, though, because he's right in the championship battle, I believe. And if not, definitely should be, based off the pace he's had this season. I'll take a look now. Oh, potentially not, actually. I can't see him on the set. He's P8 in the standings. Great first 2 rounds, and then an unfortunate race in Daytona from the look of it. But not too far behind. Definitely can recover to the top with a couple of good races. So normally provides us with some great comeback drives as well. So it's a real shame for him to not be here today.
That's a shame. I wonder what's going on there, but not every track is going to suit every driver, so that could always be thing as well. It looks close though in both classes. There's a little bit of a gap from the top in LMP2, but core does the grid. The rest of it look extremely close. So if it stays how it is in qualifying, expect the second and third to cross the line side by side at the end of this hour, having the same lap time.
I think we won't. Sorry, I think we won't be able to see anybody pulling off the one stop here in either class. By the way, that massive straight is just going to absolutely empty the fuel tanks every time they get to it. So it's definitely going to be 2-stop races from all the cars, I would imagine. And we are getting ready for the race, and I believe the pace lap starts on the back straight. Yes, so we'll only have half a lap of warm up. Obviously, the LMP2 class will follow the safety car off, and then the GT3, the GTD class will follow about 5 seconds behind the LMP2s, and both classes will go when the leader goes.
If you couldn't tell, that corner's called Dunlop. Not sure if they wrote it enough on the wall. Probably going to see a lot of action at Dunlop as well, so probably a really good sponsorship for them. Don't see that tyre very often anymore. As a kid, growing up, I saw that tyre everywhere I went. It was to do with Dunlop and Bridgestone and stuff like that. Now it's, well, in touring cars it's Goodyear. F1 it's Pirelli. I think Rallycross it's Cooper. What is it on...
World Endurance.
World Endurance. Michelin?
Michelin now, yeah.
Formula E was Michelin, then now, oh god, they've just changed. What are they? Oh,
they've just changed. I can't tell you what they've changed to off the top.
God, yeah, I think it's, oh no, I should know this.
I want to say Cooper tyres.
Oh, I want to say Yokohama or something. Or whatever that one is.
I honestly don't know. We'll have to have a look, because
I think it's
interesting. We were doing so well up until that point. It was really great. I know a lot of GT3 racing uses Pirellis these days as well. All right, a couple of corners to go till the start. Leader will probably be starting to slow down the pack now a little bit. Bunch them all up. He will not want to go any earlier than he absolutely has to. I'm not sure what race control have told them that is the starting zone today, but with such a long straight, he'll want to leave it absolutely as long as possible. Could be some chaos happening towards the back, obviously, if that is the strategy that they're going with.
Oh, this is the slowest they go down this straight, isn't it? Wow. Cool, this must feel like...
backing them all up. Pace car will dive into the pit lane now. Left-hand column, a little bit far back from the looks of it. When's Luigi gonna go? The driver's at the back, probably starting to anticipate. He's gone now. Nice getaway from the car behind. P2 also got away nicely. Probably told his teammates exactly when he was gonna go, because P3 even has been able to jump P2, but they're gonna be nearly 4 wide into the first corner under braking. Separate out. He lost his teammate. He's the leader out in turn 1. Teammates now side by side through turn 3. He's going to rejoin Lorenzo Castellani quite far back. GT3s have now gone. 2 teammates close together again here. Hopefully these guys can make it through nicely. Leo Racing Team don't want 2 of the same incident. They make it through from the looks of it. Oh, is there contact there a little bit? Merckx running wide, using all of the runoff to avoid the incidents. That turn 1 incident will no doubt be under investigation from race control. Just had a message from them saying that it is under investigation, not popped up on the broadcast yet, but a message on the Discord saying that it is under investigation, so we will be looking at that. The new leader may have even picked up damage after that contact with his teammate, filing through the chicane now. A couple of position changes further back. We're going to get a replay. So Lorenzo went nice and early. Great start from him. Pretty much as soon as the pace car went in. No doubt, like I said, he'll have told his teammates when he was going. Probably thought he had the gap to take it quite carefully on the brakes into turn 1. But actually, it looks like his teammate just carried a bit too much speed into the braking zone.
Wow. That's so big.
That will not go down well in the team meeting after the race. Going to be interesting to see if his teammate can fight back. Being so much quicker than everyone else in qualifying, you would think there is a chance. Carlo maybe even will help him out a little bit. We're watching a replay from the GT3 start here. In fact, we're coming towards the final sector of the lap. What's happened here? Going into the hairpin. That's a lot of speed to be carrying, and there's contact, and then there's contact again.
Well, it's bumpers. Everybody does it, don't they?
Somehow everyone seems to have made it through, though, which is interesting.
So most GT3 cars probably have bumper damage now. Is that for the lead, or is that
this
P2?
Is for the lead. I believe this is for the lead with Victor taking
it is,
the lead.
I think it's second. It's definitely, second. Luigi's up the road. There Luigi is, so that's for P2. Victor goes into P2, so the race is on between the GT3s and the Porsche at the front, the 2 different teams. It's cool to have that, isn't it? 2 different teams at the front. Proper racing, almost like, McLaren, I don't know why I've gone there, Mercedes versus like Ferrari or someone. It's brilliant to see. Could have a bit of, got a rear gunner in a way, haven't you, with the car behind, but
I think it's great. We might even see some team strategies playing into it, with one car going long on the pit stops and one going early to force the other guys into making a decision. But right now, this battling is meaning that Luigi has got away very well up front. Lars looks to have got into an incident here. Again, this is a run down to the chicane. No, sorry, into the hairpin after the first little bit, and that's not going to work.
Oh, look at that.
That will most likely be a penalty for the not quite sure what team that car that we can see is one of those cars. I don't know if it was this driver.
Yeah,
either him or his teammate.
I think it was Lewis, because there's a pink car just behind, which I saw in the replay, so I think it might have been.
He's now looking for another move down the inside, not even half a lap later. He's going to get a good toe down the main straight. GT3's toe is so powerful. These things, not necessarily the most aerodynamic of race cars.
Here comes the pink car. Oh, they're bump drafting. Maybe. They are.
You don't want to pull out too early. You will hit an absolute wall of air, but you can see how much they're closing in on the Porsche head when they're working together. So they're gaining a lot of time, maybe even a little bit of teamwork there between the manufacturing pair. Focus on the exit now, a little bit wide there. That could be an off track. Remember, 17 incident points, and these guys will pick up a drive-through. Something that race control won't have to monitor, but everyone will have their eye on that, especially if people have got spotters in the session. I know some teams absolutely do have that, so they'll be keeping as much of an eye as they can on other people going off track around them to see if they think that they should be picking up drive-throughs. The only Lamborghini in the field here, trying to put a move on a Merc. Something happened to Leon. He's having to make his way through GT3 traffic, which is a bit bizarre. He's 30 seconds behind the lead now. Or not even behind the lead, behind the car in front. So looks like he might have had some sort of...
Oh, the lead change.
Here. James taking the lead on the braking into turn 1. Can Carlo fight back in any way? Closely followed by his teammate Alessandro. So
look how close this field is.
So... multiple GT3 incident in turn 10, 5-second post-race penalty for car number 13. That was the incident that we saw on the first lap going into the chicane at the end.
Adam Hedgecock's got that penalty there. That's for Adam.
So we'll have to maybe take another look at that if we can, so we can assess it. But right now we've got a battle for the lead and all of the tops. Oh, here we go. Richard looking for a move. He's got the inside line now into turn 1. That's all he's going to need. It's such a tight apex. He's gonna take that easily. And is he going to run a bit deep? No, he was almost let through by the other driver, not wanting to compromise his own exit too much. Just saying LMP2. Oh, and we're going to get another move here, so he might lose another one by being too friendly. Is Alessio going to send it? He's absolutely going to send it. He's given the room, and he's through nicely. You don't want to be giving people too much room now to the Lamborghini driver. Oh, more moves. Further back, these two bump drafting each other on the previous lap, but looks like whoever is behind Louis doesn't want... Oh.
To the lead.
Here we go. Battle for LMP to lead again.
Oh, cut back, maybe? Is that possible? Ah, he can't. Is he going to send it up the inside, just like we saw a second ago? Surely not. Too early in the race. Ah, he's going to stick it in. Oh, he's back into the lead. Oh, brilliant.
Leah Racing Team can't afford to lose another car out of the battle. So top 9 in LMP2, all within, sort of under a second of each other. I was going to say DRS, but no DRS category. But they're all within.
Oh, there's cars everywhere here.
There's cars off the road. Alessio dropping down quite quickly down the order there.
Oh, God!
Must have happened. Oh,
how
close
no one
racing here. This is what's great about GT3. We saw it all of last season, and we've continued to see it.
Somebody in the background, well. Brandon, has just gone over the back of the sausage curves on the last corner. I've just seen his car doing a hop, skip, and a jump.
Oh, we're going to get some great slipstream overtaking here. Almost could be 4 wide into turn 1, but not quite enough straight for that. It's going to be 2x2, though. Oh, and the Merc's going to try and make 2 up in 1. You can't make it work.
Fantastic.
Simon dropped to the back of this pack now. We've got a replay here of Martin. I'm assuming this is going to be him going over the sausage curves.
We're going to watch a hop, skip, and a jump in a second. Here we go. I just saw it in the corner of my eye. Just in the background. And boom, boom. Wow. Yeah.
I've gone over them before in the Ford GTE, and they do absolutely send you flying.
Oh, no, they're off!
Big crash in LMP2.
Oh, they've hit GT3. Is there a GT3 there? What's happened? The leaders.
They were catching GT3 passing. What's happened? That's in turn 1, I believe.
That's very broken of Izzo's car.
Going to get a replay here. What's happened? Oh!
To be fair, GT3 didn't do anything wrong.
Very unlucky for Lars there. Absolutely nothing he could do. Let's go and have one more look at that, because I'm not quite sure what happened there. Can we go at like a half-speed replay if we've got
So Izzo's collected...
Izzo's gone in a little bit too deep and caught the inside, then sort of saved it, but by, I believe that's James having to then save his own car, they've had contact, so Izzo can't really blame anyone but himself there, unfortunately. I'm sure Race Control will see it very similarly, and They don't take kindly to LMP2s not behaving sensibly around GT3s.
Wow.
So it gets worse for Leo Racing Team. They had 3 cars in the top 4.
Does that car have a front on your screen? One of them, that Merc does not have a front to his car on my screen. What's happened to that Merc? Is that Christian? No, it's Lewis. What's happened to his front of his car? It's absolutely just caved in. What's happening here? His car's absolutely error. So Lorenzo's on the back of the LMP2 queue now. So he's got there in the end. So now we're in the GT3 traffic. This is getting... this is going to be a bit insane now, isn't it? Because look at them. All the LMP2s are just in a big line. If you catch GT3 traffic now, I'd be scared if you're a GT3 because you've just got LMP2, just for a good solid minute coming at you. Oh, look at them all. Look at that. Right, so the leader's got a bit of a gap now after surely maybe some damage, you could say, for James?
I would assume there will be a little bit of damage to... Where was the contact? Left rear and then...
Yeah, on the side as well.
Yeah, so there could be a little bit of steering damage on the back, but he seems to be carrying on okay, so maybe just aero and top speed damage.
Look at them all, wow. It was close race. Oh my god, but the track map is just... They are about
everybody packed into about 2 corners.
Oh no, yeah. We've got that long straight, don't worry about it. It's about to become a motorway. Everyone stay in the fast lane if you're an LMP2. This is going to be brilliant. Here we go. Indicators, we touched a bit of a curb there. Indicators on, everybody. Go to the right lane. Oh, they're not going to catch them in time, are they?
To pass safely. GT3s shouldn't have to compromise their race or their line to get through.
Have they caught them in time? There's a move from Lorenzo. Here we go. He's going to make his way through the queue now. Probably smart to do it before they get to the traffic. And there's one done.
Through nicely. Got to try and use the traffic to his advantage now. I would have thought he should be able to pull away from the car behind. Wessel. I'd say never driven Fuji in an LMP2, but this is making me want to do it because it looks like such fun.
Here we go. Here we go. Find a nice way through. There's a battle here for P11 in the Izzo. And did Izzo pit for repairs? Surely he did.
He must have done because Leon was a good 30 seconds behind the car.
He has, yes, he did.
Sustaining some sort of damage.
Yeah. Well, we're about to meet a GT3 here in the braking zone. That's actually going to give Izzo the place, I think, there. In the end.
Leon going to get some sort of switchback, cutback move. Oh, nearly, but the GT3's almost saved him by forcing the car in front to sort of almost block him.
Oh, hello,
back. Adam trying to go around the outside, not going to work there, unfortunately, but is going to give him the nice big toe all the way down the straight. Potentially, he's gaining quickly.
Oh, there, look at that in the background. Oh my God.
3 wide. These GT3s will be holding their wheel tighter than anything they've ever done before.
Oh, 3-1 again! That was not the biggest gap in the world as well.
This never ends well. The track is so wide, but they only leave each other a couple of centimetres. It never ends well. James trying to protect P2, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that. That's going to be Frank trying to go down the inside into turn 1, and he's almost got it done. He's going to get it done on traction. Still side by side. James is going to fight back into the braking zone. He's going to get through, surely, because of the shape of the track, and he will.
Oh, there's a GT3 drifting off in the background. Don't know if he had any help.
I hope that wasn't an LMP2 trying to stick his nose down the inside, but I wouldn't be surprised, unfortunately.
Oh, they're really in the thick of the GT3
Lots of incidents
traffic.
under investigation by race control at the moment, but no word on the penalties for those. As soon as we get it, we'll bring it to you.
Oh, this is going to get a bit close.
It's going to get messy. It's going to get very messy. Because he's going to have to let that GT3 back through, and then that's going to put him side by side.
Oh, now all of them want to go through at once.
The LMP2s do not want to take turns going through. If you're going through, we're all coming through.
Yeah, poor GT3s are just like, leave me alone. Oh no, they're everywhere you want to be.
Adam does not want to let Frank by before the final corner. But Frank's going to send it down the inside on the exit. What's happened to Leon on the main straight?
Is this going to be a braking issue? Maybe there's no car around.
I'd assume he's going to have an issue into turn 1. We're coming up to it now. Should see the curves appearing on the left-hand side about now.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
lock the
okay.
rears. Whoa, that's scary when you know that whole pack is coming.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Everybody through
Wessel
nicely.
seemingly dropped back. He was quite a few positions further up before all this traffic.
Oh my god, it's still going. The leader's got, I was about to say a gap, he hasn't, it's gone. So I don't know what's happened to him at some point. The traffic may have caught him up because he was about a second clear, wasn't he? He's less than that now.
James did a great job of getting through the traffic. He's gapped the car behind by quite significantly, about a second, I think.
Post-race.
There's a penalty of some description there. I can't read it myself. Is it
Izzo.
5 or...
5 for Izzo.
That's for the turn 1.
Yeah,
very
that's
light from race control.
Well, Izzo's the one that's ended up spinning himself, really, as well, so... Spun himself.
Well, he's penalised himself. Just got a feel for the GT3 that was caught up in that.
Yeah, Lars, yeah.
I suppose.
Oh my god, here we go.
Didn't really do anything to him. It's just an unfortunate place. Jay's getting ready to take P1 if these GT3s don't get out of the way in a nice way. That's a Leo Racing Team GT3. Do not expect him to let James through easily, and he doesn't. He makes him work for it. That's given a tiny bit of breathing room to Carlo, but really not much. They're coming up on more GT3 traffic now. It's getting messy once again. They're going to be side by side into turn 1. We can be certain of that. James looks to be running less downforce because he's getting through nice and easily, coming up to the braking zone now, and he's through before the braking zone. Wow, what a run he got from that slipstream. Potentially a skinnier rear wing. Let's see if he struggles now. Now that we're off the straight, there's more moves further back. Wessel P8, Max now up into P7.
Oh, it's just cars everywhere.
Carlo P2. Just lost the lead, of course, but now looks more likely to lose P2 to Frank than anything else.
We nice to your teammate.
And his teammates not really being that nice to him. So, but he's going to get through here, and Frank will not as quickly. Lost a couple of tenths there, but nothing much, especially with the slipstream. He's even going to have a run from the looks of it into the braking zone. No, it's a bit too tight, and it would have been a bit too late, but he's going to follow nicely through here. If you're behind another car, you want to be going for earlier apexes and get that clean air on the nose of the car. Running through the tight complex here. Probably the most difficult braking zone on the track here. You've got to be braking and turning pretty much, really hard to do. And these LMB2s probably even shifting the bias, some of them just for that braking zone. Final corner here. This is the exit that's going to matter, and it looks like Frank's nailed it, to be honest. And also potentially Dylan behind, so they might both be storming at him down this straight. He won't really have... Carlo's slipstream will not be that significant from the car in front anyway. And to be honest, if I was James up front, I'd be braking that toe.
Oh, there goes Frank. Here we go then for P2. He's got it. Oh, wow, there's a lot of lifting. Wow. That's a lot of lifting, isn't it? Not from Carlo.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Carlo was either just giving the position up because he didn't want to lose time in turn 1, or if he's trying to save the fuel. Because even
Dylan lifted and he's still massively caught.
Yeah. So... I'm not sure if Carlo's trying to make it on fuel right now, to be honest.
Interesting.
Aiden P5 now, up quite a few places from where he started. Closely followed by Lorenzo, still on his recovery drive. That's another penalty popped up there, I believe.
Yeah. 88, so Alessio for the Porsche, in the Porsche. So that's between 888 as well. So we've got to know what that one was. Richard and Alyssa. When was the... Oh, I think that may have been... I don't know what that is. I don't think I remember seeing a Porsche and another car crash yet, but there we go.
I don't recall, but there is it didn't happen that long ago.
No.
I got the message from race control, it was under investigation, and then the penalty came.
I want to know what's happened to the front of Lewis's car. Where is the bumper? Gone.
Was he...
That's a big crash.
No, he was being bump drafted, wasn't he? He wasn't pushing anybody. It could have been lap 1 in turn 10. Don't know if he was involved in that little sort of mini pileup that we had.
Oh, there's another move there. Is that Dylan taking...
P2 does the fastest lap of the race as well.
A lot's happened there.
Aiden losing the position there to Lorenzo, who's still on that recovery drive, but we know how quick Lorenzo's going to be.
Yeah, Carlo's lost another place to Dylan. So Carlo again, another lap and another place lost into turn 1. So he is.
I can't see Carlo doing anything other than fuel saving right now.
Yeah,
He must have worked out at some point that the time lost in turn 1 by lifting will be less than the refueling that you.
Well, how long's the pit lane?
The pit lane's long. You can. The entry is.
Is it worth
not
it?
that far down the pit lane, and it's just going so quick whilst you're going past the pit lane, which also increases time lost. Lorenzo now is going to be the next car to make a move on his
horrible,
teammate.
no way.
It's getting
not
messy.
free.
GT3's on both sides, free wide. Don't try it. No, that's never going to work in this contact. The Lamborghini gets forced wide. It's going to lose a couple of positions from that. Race control will have to have a look. Aiden following these guys through. No love lost between these two, of course. Lorenzo was punted in turn 1 by Carlo on the first lap, so he lost the lead. He's going to re-overtake his teammate, but it won't be for P1 this time. It will be for P5, so it's not going to be... Sorry, P4, I believe. It's not going to be what he wants, but he should get in quite easily into turn 1 with the amount of lifting that we've seen from Carlo. Yeah, he's through already.
Aiden's going to get him too.
And Aiden's going to get him too. Yeah, there's definitely either some sort of issue in the braking or a lot of fuel saving going on for Carlo, because he's dropping like a stone right now.
He's doing 131s now, 131.9 on his last lap. His best is a 129.4, so he's losing loads.
He's losing a lot, yeah. There's definitely fuel saving going on. At that much fuel saving, I'd even say it's trying to make it on one stop, but I don't think that's possible. As I said earlier on in the broadcast, with this sort of track length, I don't think he'll be able to pull that one off.
No, you said that the straight is what's going to drain it. At the moment, he's trying not to use any down the straight.
Well, I suppose if he can lift all the way down, which seems to almost be what he's doing, to be honest, he might be able to save a fair amount. But he is losing quite a lot of time. How far has he dropped back from the leaders now? About 4 seconds. 3.5 seconds. He
was a while ahead too for a bit, wasn't he? A second up, and then he suddenly out nowhere got caught up and then passed.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. He is losing time quite significantly now. Instant between the 888 and 90, I'm told, is also 5 seconds. Don't know if that one popped up on the stream. I believe it may have done.
I don't even know what that one is for either, Richard. And
there's now a 5-second penalty for car 666, I'm told, by race control.
That's Lars. So
that was for an incident with the car 418.
That's Lewis. So I might be where Lewis's damage came from. Max now taking Carlo. So that actually we might have finally established where the damage from Lewis came from. It might be that one.
Might be. I'm seeing another message from race control being typed out now, so I'll let you know when that comes through.
So that might
Lots of time penalties being handed out today, so that's going to be fun for people who do the standings. They get through past the GT3 nicely there.
Right then, back to the GT3. What's happening?
A challenge for a podium, it looks like.
Oh, we had to think about it. We had to think.
Suarez, no further action on an incident between car 418 and car 29. So that's another incident with car 418, but no further action on that one. Raul looking for a way past, but he's not going to find one now again, unless he can force an error or use the LMP2 behind him to his advantage.
How did Izzo? Yeah, right. So Izzo's coming back through the field now, isn't he? Still, yeah. So he's gonna try and come through after Charles takes one of them. Are they gonna get them all before the turn? No, is the answer to that question. That's such an awkward corner, I'd say, for the mix of classes. But okay, Izzo immediately tried to get through on his teammate and had a bit of a squirm while doing so, but he does make it pass on that corner. He's trying to get Charles here. He might be able to use the GT3s to his advantage on the exit of the last corner, and he will. He'll probably get the slipstream from one of them, or are they both going to go through before the corner? But just on the exit, there you go. They've cleared them. Some nice slipstream now for Izzo, and Charles is pitting. Is that early or is that perfectly on time? What do we reckon? Pit stop 23 minutes in?
23 minutes. If it's a 2-stop, that's about right, you would say.
Charles the first in. Another little look. Hey, he's done it this time. There we go. Ruled this time, had a look and thought he's not going to defend, so I might as well go for the pass.
He's going to run deep, though. It's going to be close. Run down into turn 3 now. Is he going to be able to stick his nose in? Because if he can get his nose in, from what we've seen so far, he'll get through, but he drops back a bit too much. Poor exit though from Raul, and that's going to put them side by side again, going into the turn 6 hairpin. What can he do? He's lost. You can't really go side by side there in GT3. That's the problem. So he's had to slot back in behind. Next chance will be the chicane. Pretty equal exits from the both of them. So Raul might be safe going into here, but it looks like he's getting closed down a bit. Obviously, naturally, you would expect that from the car in the tow, but it's not enough to get by a few hundred more meters and maybe could have had a chance. But he's held on now. He's got his teammate ahead in P2. They've dropped back quite far from Luigi in P1, 5 seconds back, in fact. So it looks like these guys are just sort of hoping now for the double podium between them. So Max is pitted from the LMP2 group. James has just put a fastest lap of the race in with a 28.8, while Carlo has done a 30.9 on that last lap. It's 2 seconds he's losing a lap. Now, he's got to be trying to do a 1. He's got to be. Other people around him are pitting. What are we, 25 minutes in now? And everyone else I would expect really to be in this lap, to be honest. Yeah. Then that gives you a 10-minute stint at the end, which is kind of what you expect from these cars with the fuel tank size we've got. From what I remember, from what I've seen so far, not really the focus in race control a lot of the time, but I think that's what we sort of expected from the races so far when we calculated the fuel tank sizes, but also gives cars a chance to do the one stop. So he could be trying it. I think pit lane loss time is quite long, but I guess that's why these guys are trying different strategies as well. Max's pit lane, it says that Charles and Max are both apparently in the pit lane for 51 seconds. Wow. What's the actual box time? 20. So it's 30 seconds to drive through the pit lane then, which is quite long. He's not going to be losing that much time, I don't think. Yeah. So actually, it could work. It's going to be close though. It is going to be close because quite a few laps now he's done at that pace. When Izzo came in to fix his damage, he did a 39 second pit lane time with an 8-second stop. So it is 30 seconds in the pit lane just to drive through, which is a huge amount. So could this work? He's lost. He's not going to lose 30 seconds on the road by doing this, is he? At the moment, what's he lost? 3, 4, 5, 7 more, maybe more than 7. He might be about 11. Is he 11 off? Is there a chance to change the graphic to gap just to the leader quickly to see how far he is now behind James? Was it? Yeah, 11 seconds back. So he's got another what? At 19 seconds he can lose before it's pointless. You could argue. Yeah, maybe more because he won't have to do the second box time as well. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I see. Yeah, and he wasn't saving at the start of this stint. No, it didn't feel like he was. So he might be able to manage it better next time round. What's that message from race controller? Current penalties: car 13 of the 5. So that is Adam. We know that one. Car 78 has 10 seconds, and that is. Lots of pit stops here. Looking for 78. 78 is Carlo, I believe. It is Carlo. Wow. How did Carlo get 10 seconds? That was the turn 1 incident, that one. Oh, wow, he's in, so he's not even doing the what? What is going on here then? What was that? Why is he losing 2 seconds a lap? Well, he's got to 27 minutes now. Yeah, but James he will be able to say he'll be able to say more on the next stint. But you're right. James is still going. So no, it's not. Sorry, James is in. Sorry, no, I meant Frank's still going. So I don't understand. Yeah, he will be able to go longer on the second stint because he'll be able to save the whole way. So he might be able to do. He might be just doing some experimenting, to be honest. Izzo has 5. So, Richard has 5. And I just disappeared for me to work out in time. But there's a lot of 5 out there anyway. For incidents that most of them we have seen. There it's back again. Lewis has 5 and Richard's 5 and 88, which is Aliso has 5 as well. So yeah, quite a few out there. But is that 10 seconds then? Is that 2 separate incidents for Carlo? Is that 10 straight for the incident at turn 1? What do you reckon? I'm gonna try and look for you now. Because the only incident I can think of is that first one. Adam pits then at the late decision to go in, but there he goes. It's not showing on race penalties because they've been sorting them out nicely. So I believe it's only one incident because I can't think of another incident. Here we go.
Move.
Lorenzo trying to defend into turn 1, but can't.
So they're still going.
These guys are still going. These guys have been in traffic, though, the whole race. So they've been saving a lot down the straight. Carlo maybe had to make up that difference after leading for so long because he was punching the hole in the air for
wow, is that really... has that hampered him that much that he had to... That's fascinating.
It looked like he was struggling. Like, he can't have... Why has he had to save so much just to get to that point in the race? Unless the damage made his car so, unaerodynamic that he was using more fuel on the straight, which seems bizarre. But I don't know if he'd added more drag somehow and is impacting the top speed, or potentially that he was just struggling. So Izzo pitted on lap 6. Wow.
Yeah, for damage, to fix damage. Yeah, I don't think.
But he's come out ahead of everybody that has pit now.
He was in there for 8 seconds. I don't know if that's enough to put
if these guys, what kind of lap times are running? It's like a 140, isn't it? So
well, they're doing 129.
So he might actually be able to make it on one more stop, which would be impressive. But he did have good pace.
The leaders are in.
Well, let's see where they come out. Because he had a shorter box time the first time, but his next pit stop will be much longer than the guys behind. So he's currently 9 seconds ahead of James, but his box time was 15 seconds shorter. So he'll have a much longer stop next time, whereas these guys will have the shorter stop next time.
These pit stops has really mixed up all of the grids, including the GT3s. I think Nesbolino still will be once the pits are all done leading, but we'll see once they're all done because they're not quite there yet. Lots of mixed strategies going on. Of course, Izzo continues on and takes the current lead now for a little bit of the race. Where do they all come out then? Where is James? James will be just ahead of them both, I think. They all come out where they were before. Dylan comes out ahead of Lorenzo, and they're all out. So Carlo's now in 8th then. And net 8th is where he is, and he's 2 seconds behind Aiden. And we now are more lost than we were before the pit stop phase, because we thought we understood what he was doing, but turns out we don't have a damn clue.
We absolutely don't know. It's a bit baffling, if I'm honest. Let's see what he does in this stint and if he carries on running the lower lap times. Maybe he thought he'd be able to make it and then realised his maths was just wrong.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. So Nesbolino's actually lost 2 seconds in that pit stop phase, I think, to the cars behind, but he's still got a nice gap, so he won't be too worried about that, I'd say. They all seem good at the moment. The closest battle on track, realistically, is the ones we are looking at now. So, yeah, Izzo has an 8.5 second gap in the lead, but he probably has less fuel on board than, well, definitely has less fuel on board, I'd say, than everybody else at this current moment. So surely, by that statistic, shouldn't he be going faster?
I believe. It's a bit hard to tell. I don't really know what anyone's doing strategy-wise.
It's all gone out the window. We thought it was a simple 2-stop, and we've lied to ourselves, is what's happened.
We thought it was a simple 2-stop, and some crazy man had a crazy idea to try and do a 1-stop, which looked like it was maybe going to work, but then he pitted at the same time.
Oh, no! Nesbolino's apparently crashed. Why is Nesbolino crashed? He's jumped to the pits. The leader for the GT3s has crashed and jumped to the pits. Why? What has happened to him? Surely not. He's leading. He's been comfortable this entire time. What has happened? Please, God, no. What has happened to him?
Some sort of issue under braking in turn 1. Surely. I hope it's not an LMP2 out the pit lane. There we go. Braking, and just didn't brake enough. And then he's gone onto the sausage. No? Whoa. Oh. Did he run out of fuel?
No,
he pitted?
Yeah, he's pitted.
Had he definitely pitted?
Yeah, he definitely pitted.
Wow. Something must have gone wrong then with his rig. Going into turn 1. Pretty normally here, and then no. I can't hear the sound. Has the engine cut off?
No, it's all fine.
That's very bizarre.
Has something gone wrong? Had some force feedback maybe cut out on his wheel or something?
It looks like it's some sort of technical issue or something that's meant that he's had to quickly leave the rig.
Wow, that is... Who was that? It was Luigi, wasn't it? Yeah, he was fully in control. He had been leading the entire time. Like, he had a nice gap. It's really... Now it's spiced that podium battle up in the GT battle freeze to now for the win, really. And
he's just... I'm trying to get an answer out of him right now. He's currently typing. He said, really no comment. Not quite sure what's happened there. He said he got a penalty. And that's why he's stopped.
Penalty?
What car number is he?
He is...
There is a 10-second penalty given to him.
To Luigi?
Yeah. I'm not sure what for. He doesn't seem very pleased about it.
He hasn't been anywhere near anybody, has he?
Well, he must have been at some point, because Race Control won't have announced it without having the right number. Well,
the only cars he's been near...
is trying to find out what's happened.
Yeah, the only car he would have been there is LMP2s, because no one in GT3 has been close enough to him, so...
Looks like he might have had an incident with the 418. Do you know what car that is?
That's Lewis, which is out of this race for the past
lap
5 minutes.
18, apparently, so...
So he's just had that, then?
A look for that.
He would have just had that. It's not come up on anything I've got, sadly, so we'll see if Gerard can see one on lap 18. Oh, I found something. I found one. Gerard. 32, 37.
Oh, he seems to think there should have been a blue flag.
Yeah, because the car that he's had this incident with is about 2 laps down on him, so we'll see if Gerard can find it. Yeah, it will be on like lap 17 for us. There it is. There it is. Oh dear. What gone on here then? So this is out of the chicane, no?
I mean, the car in front was a lap down, so an interesting one. It was a little bit late, so maybe hard to tell from guys ahead. Race Control obviously looked at it in more detail than we did.
Yeah, and we just did. Yeah, no comment on that one. I'd say definitely for now. But wow, it's open. I'm surprised he's pulled over and gave it and just thrown it.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I think there's definitely grounds for an appeal if he wanted to.
Yeah, there's definitely grounds.
And with the pace he was pulling out, you still would have had a very high finishing position.
Well, he's got half an hour to still pull the time out if he just needed to.
Yeah, it just would have had to push a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not a great day for Leo Racing Team then at all.
And no, yeah, wow, it's gone. Another one gone. That's not gone well at all. So what we've got now, we've got Lorenzo on the back of Dylan, I think, isn't it, for P3? Yeah, not going to happen. And so at some point, Izzo pitted at some point in all of that, and he's now in P9.
P9, and we'll have to watch his pace.
Yeah, watching Carlo's pace, not picked up tremendously. He's matching everybody else, to be honest, actually. He's matching them, but not like... Yeah, he's not matching what he was doing at the beginning of the race, though, still. So something is up there. He is on the back of Aiden as well at the moment, full P6. So Carlo now on the way back up the field. Lorenzo also on the way back up the field. Richard versus Christian
here. P6. This is 4. Christian just ahead still. Can't see that lasting long with the way that Richard's Trying to get through here. What's he going to do? Is he going to send it down the inside? No, he's not. And this is allowing Alessio behind to sort of join in this fight as well. He's up 9 places from his starting position, and Alessio behind, by the way. So great drive from him. Probably a couple of issues in qualifying as well, but very impressive. Richard is properly looking for any gap right now.
Oh, Alessio's going to have one, really.
Because Alessio is going to get down the inside. And he's going to get through. Wow.
Yeah. Good move.
Richard's maybe thinking, I don't like the look of this Merc in front of me. You can have a go first. I'll follow you through.
Oh, I thought Christian was having a moment there. Yeah.
I think it was. It looks like something went wrong. He did get across nicely, almost a bit too quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of an oversteer that worked in his favour.
He drifted in out of the corner like, yep, I meant that fully. Absolutely. So, Colo bringing... Oh, it's told me the lead has crashed. Oh, no, he has. James has crashed. He's lost the lead. What's happened to James? Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. What's happened here?
Sausage curbs. No.
Oh, what's going to happen? It's going to be...
He's going to lock the rears. He's going to lock the rears going under braking.
He's already going, isn't he? Or is he not? No, he's... What's he...
Is he going to hit these sausages?
Something happens.
No.
What happens to him? I don't want to...
Struggle under braking here. Yeah, it's rotating already.
It's going.
He's kept it out of damage, and he is only just in P2, I believe. He's got it going very quickly. Luckily, he didn't go all the way around, but that's the lead lost right there.
Cool,
he's
right.
1.5 back now. He's dropping quickly still. Oh, he's made back up the time again now, so I think that's just the timing board settling down again. But right now he's under threat from behind now. Very comfortably in the lead to right back in the middle of the pack very quickly.
Oh, it's awkward as well. Oh, this is not what you want. Oh, you've picked the outside. Everyone following through. Oh, that's going to give him a little bit of leeway, I think. That's helped him for a corner or two before the long straight, but he's going to be under attack at the end of it.
If you want the gap anywhere, it is here. But it's a shame for him because he's lost the gap to the lead now in passing that GT as well, down to 1.9.
Adam is only just now gone into the pits, apparently. Or has he gone in for his second time?
That's his second stop. 40 minutes in, that must be the second stop.
Gotta be. Because, to be fair, I think he may have just pitted for some fixer damage. He was in for 4 seconds. Apparently, he was in the box.
Maybe a splash to get to the end.
Fascinating.
Potentially. Not going to get much fuel in 4 seconds, are you?
No,
James and Dylan passing another GT there. Nicely done. Not quite sure who is behind them now, but it's one of the Leo Racing LMP2s. Gotten through as well. The leader gets past, I believe that's Alessio in the GT. James, we want to follow in. The gap's now 1.4. You can see how much traffic affects these gaps. Just gets his nose in and alongside enough to be allowed the room. Hooks it up nicely on the apex. So GT getting a bit clumsy behind. So this has allowed him to close right back up to the leader. Frank got through nicely, it looks like, on the Merc there. James needs to try and find a nice gap. But again, he's caught them at the end of a lap, which is not where you want to be. He's going to try and get it down the inside here. And he is. He's given the room very nicely by Lars there. Lars, I believe, might not be on the lead lap of GT3, so no reason for him to really hold these guys up more than he has to. So nice of him to get out of the way there and try not to impact this battle for the lead. Gap has come down, I believe. Wes will have to tell you exactly what it is because I can't see that, but it looks smaller than it was.
Oh, it's 1.1 for second and third, but for the lead it's 1.3, so
1.3. We were 1.9 only a lap ago, so he's benefited from the traffic there. Carlo looking to make a couple of moves here on Aiden and then Leon, the lapped car, after an unfortunate start to the race.
They're not looking like nicely. Pass. Are they going to pass? Surely they will. They don't look like they're going to.
Well, Leon will have blue flags at this point.
Aiden's gone through. Look quite racy. The gap now for the lead's under a second again, so we're getting closer to a fight for it.
James making up for that time loss on the sort of half spin that he had. He'll be kicking himself unless he wins this race now, so that sets the target nicely. And he does seem to be able to keep just clawing back a couple of times. As I say that, he's lost a couple, but he seems to be able to claw it back, running different setup to some of these other guys. I think we established earlier in the race, maybe a bit skinny. You can see how skinny the rear wings are on these things, on the LMP2s.
Apparently he's got him. I don't know where he's got him, but he's got him in this last sector somewhere. James is past.
It looks like it. We'll have to get a replay of that, but they're still side by side from the looks of it. So let's go to the fight for the lead.
There they are.
Side by side down the main straight. James on the outside. Frank on the inside. They're going to be. We can see that low downforce package helping him pull a gap, but James on the outside. So Frank's going to have inside for braking. Can he stay ahead? It looks like he's got his nose ahead, and he's just going to be able to run out nicely onto that runoff. And this has brought the car behind, so that's Dylan van der Lans right into the battle as well. And Lorenzo not far behind. He's going to stick his inside. Oh, through turn 3. No way, there's no contact. There is contact, forcing the other car off the road. Hopefully that hasn't given Frank, a slowdown for that. All fair racing. He went down the inside, and he carried too much speed. And that's going to give the opportunity to Dylan behind. He's going to get through. Is he? Because then that's going to turn the inside into outside. And then James is back through again. And this has brought Lorenzo right into the battle, but also allowed Frank to just pull a little bit more ahead. These three nose to tail now through the twisty section. Smallest mistake could cause an incident, but also just let the two behind you through. So James needs to play it safe and careful here. He's got a skinnier rear wing from the straight line speeds that we've seen, so he should be able to stay ahead on the straight, or at least have a chance to fight them with no mistakes. He's playing it nice and safe, trying to line up this last corner nicely. Comes in nice and tight. That's going to mean he's going to have to work for it a bit more on the exit, but he's got it done nicely. Frank up front, a very nice gap, but these three are surely going to be fighting into the braking zone. Lorenzo, a few laps ago, was a couple of seconds behind. Now he can see second place. He can see third place. He's going to go for third place. P3's going to try and get past. Is that some sort of issue? Because he's just lost so much speed there. Lorenzo is going to turn P4 into P2. And he's done it. Very nice on the brakes. Got it turned in nicely. Not quite sure what happened to James there on the straight, but he seemed to lose so much speed all at once when he pulled out from the slipstream. He's going to try and go around the outside, which isn't going to work, but that's going to give him a nice little cutback. And Dylan lost out a little bit in this, but this has given big breathing room to the leader, and they're going to lock up. Is that contact? It looks like it might have been. Saw some sort of tyre smoke.
She's back through.
DC3 in the middle of this is sort of going, no, you go through. Don't want to be part of this. James staying, well, not staying ahead, but back up into the lead. Well, not the lead, but the lead of this pack P2. And now they're trying to get past, I believe that's Martin Brandon. So Ghost was a car they went past before. They're all going to get by Martin, it looks like. But then they've got Thomas Notto up front, and they're also all going to get by him. And that's wide. That's wide for James. Lorenzo's going to get a beautiful run through the final corner here onto the straight. Look at that exit. He's going to be past him before the start-finish line with that kind of speed. Doesn't want to pull out too early. We saw what happened to James when he did that, and that's cost Dylan behind. He's no longer really in this fight into turn 1. Doesn't mean he won't be in the fight for the lead. Looks like Lorenzo is ahead right now as we speak, but what's he going to be able to do in the braking zone? Dylan needs to try and sweep around the outside, brake late, and get in front, but is he going to be able to do it? He's going to try it. And there's going to be contact, surely, unless he uses a runoff. No, they get it through nicely. This gives James the inside for turn 3. What can he do? He's going to be ahead before they even get to the apex from the looks of it. And that's going to give Lorenzo the nice toe down here. So we're going to be side by side again into the hairpin braking zone where we saw a mistake last lap from James, but let Dylan through. So what's it going to be this time? No mistake from James this time from the looks of it. Lorenzo not really going to have a chance now, maybe into the chicane, but looks like the exit wasn't quite what he would have needed to fight this. No traffic coming up for a while now. Frank now 3 seconds out front, so he'll be loving this fight. It'll be music to his ears. It looks like Dylan's now the challenger in this little pack. We're going to have to wait for another round of that when we get to the main straight. We're just going to navigate through the tight technical section now.
Oh, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant racing between the three of them. Well, the leader was involved at one point, but he's checked out now while they're all fighting. James really happy on the throttle there, but maybe another good run from Lorenzo. Fantastic to get two positions. It's gone quite interestingly deep, almost tight. He's now immediately almost defending. Well, I wouldn't even say he's not sure if he's defending. He's got such a poor run. He almost knows that the two behind are going to be going through. No way is he pitting. He's pitting. James is in. Interesting, is it not? That makes sense. A two-stop, definitely, and he's in for his second and allows these two to drive away. He's the first of the LMP2s in. He definitely wasn't the first last time, so he's used a bit more fuel than he wanted to this time round, it seems.
Maybe also thinking he doesn't want to be involved in this fight for too long because they're just losing too much time. He's probably thinking clean air will let him undercut these guys and maybe even challenge Frank for the lead. But Frank now got a big cushion out front. What are these two going to do? Dylan still, you can see him searching for some clean air, searching for a little gap to stick his nose in anywhere he can get alongside. And that'll force the driver ahead to give him some room. Lorenzo, if he can finish P2, I'm sure he'll take that after the absolutely wild race he's had. His teammate from P1, who started P1, not quite making progress that we maybe expected. So the team's hope lie on him right now.
I think James is fixing some damage. He's been in the box too long. He's still in there. Yep.
So unfortunate.
47 second in the box. He's been in the pits for over a minute. 1 minute 19 was his pit lane time. He definitely had some damage from maybe the side-on contact, maybe? It's got to be that.
Unfortunate. I'm surprised he chose to took the repairs because he was still clearly able to fight with these guys. Must have accidentally used the
Well, he would have had repairs.
Stop.
He would have used the fast repair earlier from the contact with him and Lorenzo. No, is it? Or was it Izzo? I think it might have been. It was Izzo. Is it when Izzo crashed with the GT3 at turn 1? He would have taken his
potential
then. So that's why he's so that's wow.
It seems I'm surprised he even bothered to take the repairs with 10 minutes left in the race. Because it looked like at that point the worst place he was going to finish was P4. And it now looks like he's going to finish P10 or P11, depending on how long these other guys are in the pit lane. Well, so let's see, he might climb a few more positions.
Max was in there for 9 seconds compared, so Max has definitely jumped him in the pits now. And Max was not involved in this battle. He was a good, 12, 13 seconds back away from this battle. So he was
a long way back, yeah. So strange decision, unless it was worse than it appeared. They were losing time to the leaders quite quickly. Dylan hasn't really been able to challenge since James left this battle, so maybe James was sort of backing them up a little bit. Is he going to get the exit here? I doubt it, because he was compromised in the final corner by the GT3. GT3 lead, by the way, about 1.6 seconds, so all of those GT3 drivers now with quite nice, comfy cushions to the cars behind, so they're just all trying to bring the car home.
It's 1-2 at the moment, I think, in the GT3s, isn't it? I think, if I'm not wrong, the Rule and Victor, I think, are same team, so it should be a 1-2 at the moment. The team that we saw earlier, obviously fighting with the Leo Racing teams, they've had an unfortunate day today, so it's not gone their way. I think David Contos somehow has managed to end up in P4. Quite a bit gap from the lead top 3, but he is in 4th just in case anything else happens in this race. Still 8 minutes to go, and for most people, another pit stop, so drama all the way to the end, I'm sure. And as I said, that David is now in the pit lane making his final stop. But it does look like a splash and go, you know, that's it. They're splash and dash, however, they're only putting a little bit of fuel in and then going. They're not staying there for anywhere near as long as they did in stint number 1.
It does. I've completely forgotten now which LMP2 we thought was trying to make it on one stop. Was it Lorenzo?
No, it was Carlo.
Who is now
P4.
P4, yeah.
He finally got
lost a lot of time.
Yeah,
maybe
he
is still trying to do a one stop.
He was behind Aiden for most of this stint. I don't know when he passed him. I think that has been quite recent in like the last 5-ish laps that he's probably got through. These two stayed the same. It's interesting how early that Max has pitted and James, because these guys haven't blinked about going in, and James pitted a couple laps ago, didn't he? Now 3 laps ago.
So, if James did have damage that bad, then it almost makes sense, unless he thought he was going for an undercut, then got there. Unless he sped on pit lane entry. How long was his box time?
It was 47.2.
If he might have sped and got a 40-second hold, and then had 7 seconds of fueling.
That makes sense too, doesn't it? That does, yeah. That fits the narrative of Max.
Especially if it was a late commitment to the pit lane, which I believe it was. So that could potentially be why he was in there for so long. We'll find out from him if we can, but that would make sense. So pretty unfortunate from him, you have to say. Max
has just gone up into P7.
Dylan behind Lorenzo here, and has been for a long time, within a second, but unable to make the move. So not quite sure if he's just struggling for top speed on the straight, but he also seems to fall a bit too far back on the straight. We can see Adam in shot there, running in P5.
Adam actually has a 5-second penalty, doesn't he? So the car behind David at the moment will be not past him. He needs another second, I think, till will be past him on the timesheets. That's a little close in the braking zone, but everybody stays alive.
A big bunch of cars on the main straight as well that look to be a mix of GTs and LMP2s, so the action isn't over yet in terms of getting past other classes. Only 5 minutes to go left in this race. Well, 5 minutes plus a lap, I believe, is how the timing works.
Aiden Young's in the pits. Well, once the clock strikes 0, whatever lap you're on then is the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, Aiden's in. So they're pitting with 5 minutes to go here. They're really close to this one stop, more than I thought they'd be.
I can see. Whoever it was, again, that was trying it on the first stint, Carlo, maybe had the right idea, actually, if they've made it this far into the race.
If these guys all have to pit in front, he's 24 seconds back, and we're saying the pit and stop time, even in now, with how little fuel they're putting in, is still 40 seconds worth of pit lane.
If he doesn't have to pit, and all of these guys do, they will be on an absolute sprint to try and catch him by the end.
Leader is in. This is fascinating stuff now. The leader's in and the other second and third aren't. Now the focus is on fourth. If fourth was doing saving fuel and still did in, I don't know if he did in the second. His times are a bit all over the place for me to work out if it has been fuel saving or not.
So let's see where he comes out relative to the former leader. Looks like he's going to come out ahead.
Yeah, way ahead. Frank's put 5 seconds worth of fuel in, apparently, and he's out of his box now. And even then, he's still not out of the pit yet.
He didn't start as far up the grid as some, so he's 6 seconds clear currently. That might grow a little bit over this lap. Let's see, 5.5 currently. So let's see what it is at the end of a lap, and that'll give us a better idea. But I believe he is trying to make this on one stop now. And he was about 2 seconds off the pace before. And there's 2.5 minutes left. So we'll get 2 more laps, probably, depending on where the leader is. Or I suppose where Carlo is, because he will essentially decide how many laps there are if the other 2 pit. So he could actually win this on this strategy. If he hadn't pushed as much in the first stint and had known that this was going to be his plan the whole time, he could have quite easily won this, you would have thought.
Top 2 are pretty close now for these 2 aren't pitting again. I'm not sure if they're racing for the win now, really, aren't they? If they don't have to pit, they're racing for the win. It's ifs and buts, isn't it? At this point.
I'm surprised they don't have to pit again, but maybe they don't. Dylan has just taken the lead. The first chance he's really had to overtake, and he's made it work. But is he going to run too deep? He's going to run deep, but it looks like he's going to keep the position. You can kind of defend quite well into turn 3. If you know they're coming and you're ahead, you can sort of move to the inside a little bit, but you don't want to compromise your line too much. He's got through nicely. Are these guys going to have to come in for a splash at the end of lap? Oh, he's pitted.
Carlo's pitted, so this is...
Well, that's... it's almost worked. He was 1 lap off.
This is so confusing.
Really?
So are the leaders off or on? What is going on?
They went so much longer on the first stint, didn't they? They were quite a few laps longer than Carlo. So if it is possible to do it and they made it longer on the first stint, these are going to be the guys to do it if they realised and they've been saving this stint.
Yeah, because they were battling a bit, weren't they?
Izzo back up into P4, which is a great recovery from him. But this next lap, I'd imagine we're going to get white flag now.
This is it. This coming up is the next lap. Is the last. So realistically, they got 30 seconds. Don't pit. Don't do it. Just lift off.
Just lift off. Freewheel the whole lap. See who can time their fuel best.
Yeah.
You should be able to make it to the end now. You would think Aiden here on the outside of Miguel. Down into turn 3, that outside's going to become the inside. Is he going to make it work? Miguel gives him room. He fights back, but Aiden is going to have the exit. Now, Miguel going to be able to tuck in nicely behind. Out front, Vander has pulled a 1.3 second gap, so his lead looks safe. It is going to be checkered flag when we come to the finish line now. 40 laps these LMP2s will have done. This is Lorenzo P2 trying to save the fuel to make it to the end. I imagine these guys, not quite sure what kind of pace they're running, but I imagine it's quite yellow at the moment. Still pushing though, taking it up the rev limiter. So.
Yeah, it's not bad actually. Their pace is not bad still. Looking at the last laps, they're not off by any.
They're not losing that much time to Frank behind either. So they must be pretty confident they can make it. Not like me on the last lap of an endurance where you're lifting off the entire way because you don't want to do another pit stop. Dylan's going to take the win here. I don't think he's won so far this season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Has he led a lap this race until now, really?
So he's performed absolutely incredible. I think Lorenzo might have been struggling for fuel these last couple of laps, maybe more than Dylan was. Dylan obviously wasn't fighting as much before. He's going to come to the line. It's going to be the checkered flag. We're over the time limit. I believe we should see the checkered flag. One car letting him by there so he can pit for fuel. He's run out. He's flashing his lights. It's going to be the win for Dylan Vanderlands, and it's going to be P2 for Lorenzo Castellani. And we would think Frank is going to take... We've seen P3 has been secured in GT3. The leaders were so far ahead that they're doing another lap.
Yeah, look at them. They're well ahead, aren't they? Oh, he's ended up... I didn't realise, but Fabio's ended up... Fabio's done a one-stop in GT3s as well. That's why he has got... That's why he's 30 seconds up the road. Because he's done a one-stop in GT... So the one-stops have worked. Fabio is going to get the win with that. Martin Brandon did a one-stop as well, and so did Thomas Nato, I think, in GT3. So mostly two stops in GT3s, but both classes, a one-stop has won the race.
Well, considering the race didn't start off that well for Leo Racing in LMP2, they've come back fairly well to finish P2 and P4, and they're going to take the win in GT3. It's going to be P2 for Raul Suarez, but Fabio Ponto is going to win the race. He's coming to the checkered flag now. As long as he doesn't run out of fuel now, we can see him flashing his lights. He's going to come across the line and take the win. And it's good pace all around from him to even on the one stop. He's finished 30 seconds ahead of Raul. So great driving, great fuel management. This is Lorenzo pulling over, presumably because he's run out of fuel, to be honest. Whoa! Now we see James probably annoyed with himself for picking up the damage and picking up the speeding penalty, I imagine, actually, in the pit lane, and possibly annoyed that he didn't just try and commit to the one stop like his fellow drivers. I think everyone has now taken the checkered flag. Wow, that was a bit wild, to be honest.
Yeah, wow.
GT3 race results, only 2 cars finished on the lead lap, and Fabio was 30 seconds clear of P2. Good day for Aspar Esports team, P2 and P3 with Raul and Victor, so they'll be able to look back on this nicely. Yeah, it was interesting in GT3, actually. We had quite a few of the big hitters, maybe not quite where we'd expect them. A few because they're not here, a few because of incidents. Luigi obviously led a lot of that race and then was given the penalty, I believe, and then decided not to continue, which he'll probably start to view as a mistake, because even with a 10-second penalty, he would have finished at least P2 with the times that we can see there, and if not, well, you'd have to say even on the two-stop he would have finished P2 because he wouldn't have been, or at least P3, we should say, maybe.
Unless, you never know, he might be doing the one-stop as well.
He might have done.
He might have been fine. He might have been up the road.
So well done to all the drivers. Lots of points picked up for all around, actually, with a lot of finishes in that race. All but 3 drivers scoring points from the looks of it, and I believe 2 of them, or at least Eli, did not even start the race. So 15 out of 17 finishing and picking up points is pretty great from those guys. And we've got the LMP2 results for you now. Dylan Van der Land's taking the win, as we saw, only by 1.6 seconds. Closer race in LMP2, eventually decided by strategy. Frank was leading for quite a while after we saw a mistake from James with the half spin, allowed Frank to take the lead, but he was on the two-stop strategy, and that dropped him down to P3, with Dylan and Lorenzo finishing first and second respectively, both able to complete the race with just 1 pit stop. Izzo, I believe, started on pole, if I'm correct. Get my Leo racing cars mixed up sometimes, but managed to come back to P4 after a difficult race. So I think quite a few of these cars have done pretty impressive races. Benjamin Sai's the only one that didn't start the race, so everyone finished the race, a couple a lap down, but very impressive from all of the drivers today. We had, on a track that's maybe not so familiar to them, we had a lot of finishes. So great race today. There will, of course, be some penalties to apply. Just trying to see if there's any that affect the standings in GT3. I'm looking.
I think GT3, yeah, Adam Hedgecott has a 5 second, so I think he'll lose 4th, I think. Yes, definitely, he'll lose 4th.
Alessandro has a 5.
Oh, yeah, I might be wrong then.
Alessandro has a 5-second penalty, which won't lose him a position. Okay, I think we're going to get some drivers for interviews now. They've been pulled into the wrong room. And we've got Dylan with us, the LMP2 P1 finisher. Absolutely great race. How did you make it on the fuel? Because we didn't think anyone was going to be able to do that after the first pit stops.
So I did some calculations before the race, and I saw that it was less fuel than on Indianapolis, where the one stop was the winning strategy. So I thought I made it work, and I did.
Well, great. We were quite surprised. We thought a few people would try it, but weren't sure you could make it. But clearly, it's done the mouse and it's worked. So that's what all the other drivers need to take note from going forward. You had quite an intense battle with, I believe it was James and one of the Leo racing team cars throughout the race, but you seemed to just sort of stick behind and wait for your opportunity, and that allowed you to take the lead. When you took the lead, was that the sort of the first opportunity you got, or did you sit behind trying to save some more fuel up until that point?
I just sat behind to save fuel, and with like 3 or 2 laps ago, I saved enough fuel that I could push the full race, and then I went for it, and then I went full push, and then I could make the gap.
All right, very nice, very nice. Wes, any questions from you?
Did you lead any lap apart from the last?
I don't think so.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's how you do it.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Absolutely great race. I believe that's your first win of the season as well. So with races like that, you'll be making a serious championship challenge as well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, okay. That's it for today on the broadcast. I'll hand over to Wes so he can close off as usual. But thanks for watching the race with us, everybody.
Right, what have we got on Monday? What have we got? We got IndyCar, but where are we? Where are we indeed? I think it's another street circuit, Belle Isle. Which one's that? Detroit, isn't it? That's the Detroit one?
Detroit, yeah.
I actually I haven't got the track, never seen it, but I'm pretty certain the pictures or the screenshots I've seen of it, the track looks fabulous. So I actually can't wait to watch that on the stream just to see how it looks. I'm sure it will be an interesting one. If you haven't seen the last 2 rounds, I think IndyCar has been entertaining. So, watch out for another street circuit after that. They do go back to the Oval of Indianapolis. So, yeah, IndyCar for Monday nights. Entertainment is definitely the right word for that one. Where are we in the touring cars on Tuesday? I've gone to the wrong one. I know this actually. Sandown. Don't know why I was looking. Sandown. That's a different circuit compared to the rest of the calendar. Quite new as well, so it should be interesting to see how that one goes. The race at Donington in round race 1 at Donington was extremely close the entire way. It was fantastic. Almost like the LMP2 racing here. Some door-to-door action during the race, so it was great to watch. And we are back next week here. I'm actually sadly not here. I've got told I have to work, so that is a shame because I'm missing out on. I'm missing out on Monza. That's an interesting one. I wonder if that's a 2 or 1 stop. There's quite a long. You said today about the long straight stopping and doing a 1 stop. Monza mostly straights.
I was clearly wrong about today's race, but I would imagine Monza is quite a high fuel burning circuit. There's a lot of acceleration zones.
I can't wait for someone to do a 1 stop next week, and we look back to this and think, well, George, never ask him about fuel again.
Yeah, never talk to me about that. It's not my area.
Not his area. No. It's, right, yeah, that's basically how it's going for the next week's worth of racing. So it's Detroit, it's Sandown, and it's Monza. 3 completely different circuits, 3 completely different type of racing, and I can't wait to be back again next week. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in a week's time.
Heaven just knows what it wants. Will I go back to the place?